in this country, no one can afford to live in it. It's a the first world country, very developed. There is job all over. If you just want any job, you just get. Payment is a bit higher than any other country, but no one, and I say no one, is able to live in that country. People are running away from this country. Which country are we talking about? Ireland. You see, for the longest time, no one, and I mean no one, can be able to live at this country. People are running away from this country. The country itself have a lot of job opportunity. Big company like Google and Amazon and all those company are hiring people because they have headquarters here. But why no one is living in this country? We are talking about Ireland. For the longest time, Ireland has been a poor country. It have been in a fight with the United Kingdom because they were part of United Kingdom and they were working so hard to get out of United Kingdom. But after getting out of United Kingdom, it was becoming now clear to the people that yes, we have get out of United Kingdom, but we don't have resources. So Ireland struggled and struggled and struggled for the longest time until they joined European Union. By joining European Union, that means that any company which is based in Ireland can and will be able to supply goods the whole of Europe. In a European Union country, that company will be serving there without paying tax in that country. So Ireland take this opportunity and started making and amending law to be so favorable to company so that they can feel confident and they can feel okay to start their business in Ireland. And by doing so, the first thing they did was to amend tax law, which it was dictating every company which come, it will pay at least high amount of taxation, but they lowered the taxation rate. By doing so, the company started flocking in because you see this is a poor country, and when the company are coming, the people who are in that country had no opportunity of having a good or a decent amount of payment. So the company was misusing the people of Ireland. So you could find a company coming and they start paying people very few money. They were paying people very cheaply. By doing that, they were saving on money. But as the company keep coming, the income keep rising and people started having a good and a decent living standard. But this will have to end very soon because after more and more company came in and more people start coming in, they start facing a challenge in which every country where you find the country have developed at a high rate without even proper planning. They all face one challenge, and that is the challenge Ireland started facing. First of all, there was shortages of houses. So what happened when the housing shortages arise? You find that if you make less money, you just cannot afford the house. Actually, you find there is a lot of housing, but you cannot be able to get any housing. That's what started in Ireland. People started missing out on housing, and even those who can afford to buy or even rent a house, it was becoming clear to them that if you lose a job today, you are out, because the life was so expensive to an extent that it was not able to save any money. By doing so, young generation, who as usual we know are the culprit or the people who suffer when it comes to country which are at high rate, they started lacking any proper housing. So you could find that a person who is age 30, even 40 years old, he is still living with his or her parents because you cannot afford to rent a house. At least for your parent had a chance to buy a house as early as possible. That what was happening in Ireland, and by doing so, it gets to an extent that Google wanted to employ more people, and since the young generation who have gone to school and studied and have a good and a very very good actual education cannot be able to work in this country, they ran to other European Union and some to UK, other to Germany and France and so on. So what the Google did and other companies started hiring foreigners to come and work in Ireland. By hiring this foreigner, you are paying them more and more money. Instead of solving the issue, you keep creating the issue. And the government, this was not their problem because they are getting the tax. Then remember, Ireland actually did win this company to come to work and settle and start their business in Ireland by doing what? Informing them that there will be less taxation. Now they are in a dilemma. They cannot be able to add more tax because if you add more tax, company will run away, and the money you are collecting are not sufficient enough to support and be able to give a public stampede. You see, you cannot. The government is in a situation where, yes, it's getting taxed. There is big company which have settled in Ireland, but the country itself, it's still broke because the money government is collecting is very few, and it cannot be able to support good healthcare, good housing. The country itself is not constructing any housing, public housing. The only housing this country have is only for private housing, and because the private developer now have realized and they know very well that this is a country where people have high income, what do? They don't target these poor. They don't target middle class. They target high-end people. So the housing which are being constructed in Ireland these days, it's very, very expensive. You cannot buy, you cannot rent. By having so, the country is losing close to 20,000, 40,000 people in a year. And I'm not talking about people who are just walking out. No, we are talking about skilled labor and so on and so on. This is a very, very disastrous thing because when the country will develop, what will happen is they will not have people to work for them. When the country will develop more and more and more, the people will not be there to support the economy. And this is the challenge Ireland is facing today, because if another country come up and they are having a very favorable terms for taxation and so on, companies who are based in Ireland and those countries, you find there is a lot of job opportunity, a lot of workers, this company will move to that country. And this is a challenge which not only Ireland face. This is a challenge where a lot of first world countries are facing. Yes, there is all job. There is job in those countries. Very, like, you cannot even stay one day without a job. But what is the issue? You cannot be able to find someone to go and work there. Let's take, for example, in California. It's a great state, a good country, a good state to be in. And unless you are earning a lot of money, you cannot be able to stay in California, because how will you be able to satisfy yourself? Food is expensive, housing is expensive, everything is expensive in this state. That is the challenge, because you see, most of the country, they don't develop slowly, like they don't develop today 1%, tomorrow 1%. No, you find that they develop 1%, 2%, 3%. Then there will come a time when the development rate will change, and instead of developing 1% or 2%, they shoot to maybe 10%, and from there the country will develop and become something big. This is a challenge and an issue, a big issue, which Ireland itself, it seems not to be able to get out of it. It seems not to be able to solve any of it. But let's see whether with time they will be able to remedy this issue and have a good, proper housing platform and healthcare, so that the people who work in Hyderabad can be able to enjoy the fruit of their country being a developed country. Thank you for joining, and thank you for sticking this far. If you like this kind of video, don't forget subscribe, like and comment and share.